This conference will now be recorded.
Thank you. So for today, we're going to be talking a little bit about our conference goals, and we're going to refresh all of our minds about our amazing conference theme, Many Voices United, Transforming the Landscaping of Breastfeeding. This is our December 3rd meeting. Thank you all for being here this morning. Next slide, please. I'm going to pass this along to our chairs. Well, actually, first I'm going to review the agenda clearly. So today we'll do our welcome and check-ins and intro. Our chairs will lead us through roll call and check-in and our community norms. Thank you. Then we'll do just a real quick reminder on our location and our theme, which you already got a reminder of. And then our main topic of discussion today will be talking about the goals and the objectives, linking them with the theme, talking a little bit about our learning arcs, and then we'll do a couple of quick updates on the awards and call for presentation proposals timeline, how that's going to work, and then put in some thought starters for our January meeting. We are going to have to do a quick survey, which you'll receive on email for the January meeting, because the first Tuesday of that month, we're going to be having a staff retreat. So we're actually going to be not able to have the meeting that time. So we're going to search for another time. So you'll be hearing a little bit more about that later on.
Okay, great.
I'd like to introduce our co-chairs. Titina Sanders-Bay, would you like to introduce yourself?
I am Titina Sanders-Bay, longtime breastfeeding advocate, mom of 6 breastfed babies. I am on the board of directors for Breastfeed Chicago, and I'm an education specialist for the Mother's Milk Bank of the Western Great Lakes. And this is my last term as a co-chair.
So great to hear your voice. Good morning. Grace?
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Grace Yee. I am a retired breastfeeding coordinator for San Francisco WIC program, and I'm also on the California Breastfeeding Coalition. And I've been in the breastfeeding world for over 20-something years.
Thank you, Grace.
Thank you.
Miss Tiana?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tiana Piles, in Memphis, Tennessee, one of the co-founders of B-Stars, Breastfeeding Sisters that are receiving support, and the director of the Tennessee Breastfeeding Coalition. And this is my first term as co-chair, although I was on the committee last year, and just excited to be here with you all this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much. Next slide, please. Chairs, I know you've decided who's going to lead us through this.
Yes. Oh, and I like the setup. This is beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I see you. It's important to always give admin a shout out, because without great ad, we would still be looking at the same slides every time we meet. So thank you. Maria, are you with us this morning? Okay. Marjorie, are you on the line this morning? And I'm trying to check our chat as well to just make sure. And Nakia is in our chat. Good morning, Nakia. Martha, are you with us this morning?
I am. Good morning, everyone. I'm not sure what one word I'm supposed to share, but this morning I'm a little sleepy. Usually I'm on Central Standard Time, but I'm on Western Mountain Time today, so it's still early here.
Okay, awesome. So the word is sleepy or early?
Yeah, both. I'm still trying to wake up.
All right. I'm with
I have
you.
my coffee though, so
Okay.
I'm drinking it, so I'm getting ready.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you. All right. Miss Tamika, are you on the line with us this morning?
Tamika shared in the chat box that she would be on mute this morning. She says, hi, good morning. Yes, I'm here. My word is ready.
Okay, that's a great word. Thank you, Tamika. And Joy. Joy, are you online this morning?
Actually, it's Toy. Yes, I am on the line this morning.
Yes, Miss Toy, absolutely. Yay, good morning. And what is
Good
your word?
morning. I'm sitting at work, prepared
Oh,
and ready for this conversation. So my
awesome.
word is prepared.
That's wonderful. Thank you. All right. Miss Dana, are you on the line? And I thought she was with us a little earlier.
You might be on mute.
Okay.
I was on mute, sorry.
And what is your word to share with us this morning?
So, still on the Thanksgiving vibe, my word is grateful because I'm grateful for opportunities like this.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Angela, are you with us this morning?
I am. Hi, everybody. I want to make one correction. I'm not with the Latina Arizona Breastfeeding Coalition. We couldn't get that one off the ground, unfortunately. But anyway, my word is centering because I think I've been so checked out on vacation, and now I have to come back and refocus.
That's definitely a good one. Thank you, Angela. We'll have to work on that Latina breastfeeding coalition, huh?
Oh, for real? Yeah, it's a great idea, but it just
Sounds wonderful. All right, thank you. Miss Malia, are you with us this morning, Malia?
I know Malia said she lost her voice. If
Oh,
you wanted
that's
to
right.
share in the chat, we could read that for you. Okay, so she says, I'm here. My word is excited. No worries.
Yay. Thank you. My apologies. I thank you. Thank you for still joining us, and I hope you feel better soon. All right. Miss Carol, are you on the line with us?
I am. Good morning. And I think I'm going to go with Malia and say excited also.
Awesome. Thank you. Emily, are you with us?
I got an email from Emily saying she will be joining us. She has another meeting at this time, so she might be here a little bit later.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Sissy, are you with us on the line?
I think we also heard from Sissy on email that she is recovering from an accident. So we are sending her the best. Saying I was grateful to see that she was typing and engaging, but she's not going to be joining us today. So Sissy, if you listen to this, we are thinking of you.
Okay, yes, please. Thank you. All right, and Lindsay. Lindsay, are you online? Okay. Okay. Is there another screen of roll call as well? Oh, okay. Steam staff team, please. If you all would share a word as well, please.
Okay, I guess we'll go in order. This is Camille. I'm going to say that my word is open. I am just open to all the changes. I am open to receive, and I'm going to leave it at that. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, everyone. This is Miriam. My word, this is tough. Maybe excited. I'm going to go with excited with a couple of you all to see what we come up with today. I'm excited to hear from all of you.
Hi, this is Nikia. I'm tired, but I'm going to be all day energized while we do this brainstorming stuff later on.
Hey everyone, it's Alyssa. My word would be happy because I always just really enjoy connecting with this group and hearing what you all come up with. I'm not sure if Sarah is on the line.
Yeah, so we added Sarah because she might be joining us at some point, but she won't be on all the calls, so we can continue.
Thank you. That was a beautiful roll call.
Hi, everyone. This is Lindsay. Sorry, I was a little bit late getting on.
Good morning, Lindsay. That we just finished our roll call, so you are right on time. We were sharing a word for today.
A word for today. Let's see. My word will be determined. We've got a lot going on today, but we are determined to get everything done and have a great meeting today.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, and now on to community norms. Grace?
Okay, let me read off the first couple of community norms, and then I would invite anyone who is interested to volunteer read off the other norms. Let me start. Everyone participates. Step up, step back, participate fully and evenly. Do I have any
Listen
other?
well. Yes.
Thank you.
Listen well for deep understanding and respect. Be fully present and open to new learning. Speak your discomforts. Place check on silent and stay checked in. Share using I statements. Share responsibly. No, I'm sorry. Share responsibility for the success of each meeting.
Thank you. Is there another? Okay, thank you.
No, that's it. Thank you so much. Oh, thanks everyone for being with us together to talk about our event that's going to be in June in Arizona in Scottsdale, the 12th and 13th, so early June. I'm talking to you from about, I don't know, 13 inches of snow in Massachusetts. So I just have to say, looking at these photos, I'm getting excited already. So just wanted to make sure that everybody keeps saving those dates, put them on your calendar, please. We will have the membership meeting the day prior for folks who are members of USBC, and then the 12th and 13th will be our conference days. There will be more information about this coming really soon on the website when we are launching our call for presentation proposals and awards. So that's soon to come. Next, we wanted to just make sure everybody keeps this front and center in our mind, and Nakia is going to lead us in conversation about this theme that we have come up with on our last call. Thank you to everyone for all of the amazing work that happened and created this theme collaboratively. I have to say, even just the work that we did to get here really represents this theme. Many Voices United, Transforming the Landscape of Breastfeeding is our theme for the 10th. I can't believe it's the 10th National Breastfeeding Conference and Convening. Yes. Miss Nakia?
So it's my turn. So I think that this is a really amazing opportunity for us to kind of just check in on what our goals are for this conference. We have an awesome theme, and this visual is here just to kind of kind of have us in the front of our radar that these ideas are all connected, right? So we have been kind of using some themes that have been with us for quite a while, and I think this is an opportunity space for us to really look closely at the theme that we have come up with and try to come up with goals that actually are connected to how we might transform the landscape through our United Voices. And so the goals are going to be on the next page. And the theme really speaks to, it's our rallying call, is what we're putting out there in the world, is what we're going to be able to use in all of our promotion, in all of our discussions, in all of our social media around this conference. And so it's just like this abbreviated little bite-sized nugget. Yeah, I had a whole song that I was going to sing, but I'm sleepy and I don't remember the song. And some of you know me, so you know I was going to actually sing the song. I'm not making it up. I would have sang it if I remembered. But but that's what the theme kind of gets us. And so the thing that we don't have are learning tracks. Or so if you know, when you go to a particular conference or meeting, we have these different learning arcs that we kind of want to go with, that we want to travel as we're on here. And having these tracks identified early on, something that I've noticed when I looked at some of our past proposal processes are that we have a theme, and we kind of share what the conference is about with the theme, and we allow every single abstract to just come in around that theme. And I think that that's beautiful, and it allows for lots of lovely, kind of bubbling up of all kinds of different things. And I'm short staffed, and I want all of that bubbling on certain tracks so that we get to stay on the rails, and it's less work on the back end for us to kind of moving in to the themes that kind of make most sense for the conference. And so two things that we would like to really get done today are to review the goals. And when I say review the goals, I'm not saying wordsmith the goals. We're going to do that for you on the staff team. We'll do the wordsmithing. What I would like to get down is the big ideas that you want to make sure that are covered, so that when we do the writing and we send it back out to the co-chairs, that it is encapsulating these ideas that you have. I also would love for us to get to the point where we can have some 3 tracks, not more. It's a small conference, 3 big tracks, so that when we begin to think about who are going to be our plenary speakers, and when we do our call for proposals, that we can have people thinking about their work in the context of the information or the learning that we would like for people to walk away from when they leave the conference. And that leads us to our objectives. And the objectives are also something that we're not going to get done today, right? The objectives is something that the staff team is going to work on. But the conference objectives, and they are available for you to see later on in the deck. The conference objectives are going to be built out based upon the goals and shaped around those themes. That's not the themes, shaped around those tracks, right? So when we begin to do our call for proposals, we'll say, hey, are you going to be talking about, and I can't say the word because I don't know what the tracks you're going to pick, but, right? But those objectives are going to be all tied together. And so I wanted to kind of just package this information up for you so that you have an idea of how we're going to move through this process. And so before we move on, let's talk about it. Let's ask questions and see what are, like, who's saying, Nikia, what are you talking about, girl? Like, what? Who's got that on their brain? And that's okay. And if you just want to chat it to me privately because you don't want anybody else to know that you're thinking that, that's fine too. I'm big in the chat box. All right. So is this it wasn't in the community norms. I've worked in other groups in virtual spaces where silence means agreement. So I'm not going to assume that. So I'm going to ask directly, is this making sense and resonating for you all?
Yes, I like our game plan. Yes, you've laid it out very nicely. I'm feeling good about it.
Okay. Next slide then, please. I told you I was tired, but I was going to be jazzed up for you. So look, these are our conference goals if they have existed somewhat in the past. You're going to see this red text, and this red text here is some very small modifications of what were the goals from last year's conference. You know that our conference name has changed from the National Breastfeeding Coalition's conference to the National Breastfeeding Conference and Convening. Okay, I might have a name wrong, but anyway, I think I got it. So, but all of our objectives when we looked at the conference goals from last year, and this was actually Camille's work, there was a recognition that it was still really based upon this idea that this was a coalitions conference and that the coalitions were something other, right? And now that we're all here together and we're all in this membership space that we are holding collectively, we really would like to shift that language away from saying the coalitions will do. It's really about, I think, that what we can all do. And so she's taken a crack at just cutting out the spaces where it really focused only on coalitions. And so that's the red text that you're seeing. But beyond that, there's still this opportunity to update. So I know it's a lot of text on the screen. There was no point of doing any slide magic to this, because we're changing the goals, right? And so what we'd like to do right now is kind of create the space where we talk about our theme. And our theme really was many voices united. I might have the theme wrong now. Let me go back in the chat box. What was it? Many voices united, transforming the landscape of breastfeeding. And so when we think about that theme, I guess my question for you are, what are some big goals that make sense? Like, and the goals are like the big ideas for the meeting. Hmm?
Are you asking us a question now? Because I've been.
I sure am.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'm
So what?
asking the question. The question really is, the goals are these broad statements. It's the statement of your purpose. And so if you were to tell, if Camille is sending out marketing materials to someone about this conference, and what is the purpose of this meeting? Given that this is our theme, what is the purpose of this meeting? This is a great opportunity just to use your voices, to use your chat boxes, to just put some ideas out there. And this is what the theme was last year, with the exception that the Red Text Offset Coalition.
When I think of transforming and landscape, I definitely think of diversity. So, USBC, of course, has always been really wonderful in terms of their equity piece, but like having that diversity, give their ideas and thoughts and what that may be differently, but somewhere in there, them still having some type of something that connects everyone. I know that sounds really kumbaya, but just uh, interweaving the diverse pieces so that we are still working on our landscape part of our theme. We're all together. If that makes any sense?
I'm gonna, if it's okay, I'll try to say what I heard, and then you tell me if I got it at all. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily hear you talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. I heard you talking about that there are many diverse voices, and diverse could be, from my perspective, and this is me adding, it could be conservative voices, it could be liberal voices. It's just really honoring a very big space of diversity, because it's through all of those voices that we begin to transform the landscape and creating a space where all of those voices get to be heard. Is that right? Wrong?
Yeah.
Kinda?
Yeah.
Sorta?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, this is Martha. So I have this idea, and I don't know if this is where it fits to talk about it, but I've been concerned that, we always talk about breastfeeding makes for healthier babies, blah, 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 and we want more babies breastfed, but sometimes it seems like we forget the mothers and about how the health of the mother going into breastfeeding affects that breastfeeding experience, but also how important breastfeeding is for the health of the mothers. So I was hoping, and I think it's really important for all, for all mothers. It doesn't matter, what we are. And so I was hoping maybe we can include something about their improving or keeping all mothers healthy, and how that breastfeeding experience really makes a difference in the rest of our lives after we stop breastfeeding even.
So I think that that's really a good one, and I would probably be interested in seeing if we had some percolation of ideas that kind of are around that. And I would like us to also be very mindful of the role that USBC kind of plays, in that we are very much in this space of around systems, right? And so how could we add to that about the systemic supports to transform the health of it could be mothers, but where does the systems part come in? Does that make sense?
Not exactly, but I think it really fits with integrating into other areas of the public health agenda, because we have so many programs working on obesity or cancer reduction, whatever. So I think it fits into that more the public health agenda.
Okay.
So I was asked about the baby friendly initiative taking away the mother's power to choose, and mothers being reluctant to go to baby friendly hospitals because they don't feel like they could make their own decision when it comes to infant feeding.
So would that be part of a way to be able to tie that in with it still working around the systems in place? Could that be one of the ways?
Yes, I just thought it was an interesting question because I was on the podium and that was a question from the audience. So I'll never forget that. And like I kind of understood it because I've heard moms say, "Oh, I'm not going there because I want to do both, and they're just gonna make me breastfeed, so I'm not gonna deliver there." So while it's designed to help, sometimes it could be a lot of pressure on a mother who doesn't necessarily have the self confidence or support that she needs when it comes to feeding her baby.
Yeah, those questions at the podium definitely are ones that you remember. So in the broader spectrum of that, could that be tied into empowering our moms in terms of their being more aware and not only for breastfeeding friendly initiative, but just breastfeeding and mothering? Could
Let me, you know what? I have an idea. I
mm-hmm.
think that we're going down the lane of a track right now. And the track that I'm hearing potentially is what does systems transformation, like what's the role of systems transformation in creating a space where all voices from all sides, from all spaces within this landscape are kind of allowed to be heard, and maybe beginning to kind of look at presentations that are talking about how are people dealing with that or combating that or moving through that. That might be something that in this space where there's so much attack on some of the systems that we're all so happy to have existing, that we, from our perspective, maybe think supports families, where there may be some space to kind of understand where we can do better. But that's a track. I want you guys to remember that this is the big idea of like, what is the goal of the conference? And so the goals are the really big ideas, and the tracks is where we go down smaller lanes. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It does.
Yeah.
And thank you for helping us to stay on track. No pun intended.
Stay us
Okay.
on goal.
So with that being said, okay, then I was like, okay. So if we're starting, of course, we're starting big. So what about healing and maybe a little history part of why we need to heal in terms of breastfeeding and why we're in need of this diverse group of voices in transforming and what we're transforming from?
This is Angela. I like that a lot because I've been trying to think of how to say what I'm thinking. But in our field of breastfeeding advocacy, we started off being very homogenized. Then as we became more diverse, we became more divided, like separated into silos. And I feel like that's kind of where we still are. And if there's a way that we can just work together, because on all the message boards at all the conferences, there's such this level of division, and sides are being taken, and we're not working together, so we're not getting things done.
Great point.
Yeah, I agree, Angela. So it would be great to feel like we're being vulnerable, but not only being vulnerable, but we actually are going to take our audience into that healing and moving forward process. I mean, the bit that we can within a 2-day conference, but hopefully people feeling like they're leaving a little different than they came. Is that asking too much?
It's a goal, girl. It's a goal. I don't know how we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it with the proposals. Like send some stuff in that says that. But that's what goals are, and I think that that's beautiful. I mean, like that hit my deep in my heart, Angela. That was humongous, and that's very, very resonant within this lactation space. Lots of divisiveness, and I think that the space of USBC, where we are really, really wanting to bring everybody together to really push a shared agenda. Um, that it's really, really important that we honor and open up this space for healing. So I think that that's really awesome, and that is where we get with the goal. So yeah, I don't know how we're gonna write that up, but we got the recording.
Woohoo! All right, yes.
Um, and that also speaks to this idea, like I'm seeing about organizational capacity. I'm seeing things here about I think that there's probably the opportunity for vertical partnerships and horizontal partnerships. Vertical partnerships being these ones that are national, state, local, community, family. You know what I mean? Like that up and down one. And how do those partnerships begin to happen? I don't know if that's a goal for this conference, but that's what that last bullet is about. And horizontal partnerships, meaning those partnerships that kind of exist all at the community level or all at the national partners or whatever. Um, and we have everybody kind of in this domain with us together at USBC. And so there may be a space, I don't know if that touches on the healing one, but also just systemically thinking about if we want to transform the landscape. If we look at, and I don't have it up because I didn't know it was going to come up, but if we think about the breastfeeding social ecological model, we really recognize that there are all of these different spheres kind of influence. And it's really important that we are working within the levers that where we all kind of get to make our shifts happen, but that we're also working together. And so I think that might be one as we're thinking about transforming the landscape, that type of idea may be something that we would like to keep.
That sounds wonderful. That sounds awesome.
Okay. Anybody think that's done? We do that all the time. It's okay. You can tell me. I have really thick skin. It's okay.
Well, your thick skin is not needed right now.
Okay. All right. And so thank you. I love you, Tina. The other things that we had on here. So I like this one of healing. That's one I've heard. We have this idea around vertical, and it's not going to be vertical and horizontal. I always speak in these weird words, but we're going to try to come up with some simple language around that goal. And then also keep in mind that we send out these goals and later on the objectives to people who we want to come to our conference and vend and have a table and help the organization make money. So is there something that we might want to say that might get them to want to be engaged with us? Like my big idea is that, we should send this out to people in Arizona who have foundations to send local people and in New Mexico and California. What language might we have in terms of our conference goal that would make me, Foundation Arizona, want to send a group of breastfeeding peer counselors to your meeting?
Being a former peer counselor, I know that sometimes we feel like we are left out. And so, something in terms of being able to, like the inclusiveness of the different tiers of breastfeeding support. And of course, better language than that. But just really letting people know that it's important to send peer counselors. It's important to send, WIC nutritionists. Some people who sometimes their bosses don't think that they should go for one reason or another, but for them to feel like, oh no, this is for them and they need to be there. So I'm not sure quite what that language,
I
that
don't either. I wrote something crazy, but it's in there. But I like that. I do like that because I'm trying to figure out how to get the money. Like, there we go.
right.
Miriam will do her magic.
Almost like and not necessarily like we need their help, but we can't do this without you. We can't do this if we're not all in these same spaces together, learning the same thing together. Something along those lines.
There was some stuff in the chat box. Alyssa, what are you talking about? Go big or go home?
That was earlier when we were talking about changing people by the time they left.
Okay.
That was what I did.
I'm like,
Oh,
what's going on in here? Did we have some other ideas that came up in the chat box? So Tamika wrote, what will they learn and bring back to implement on our team and in our communities, I'm guessing. Okay, there's a lot here. Hold up. Education is something I would want to see as a foundation from New Mexico from sending my counselors. Okay, so we are providing continuing education. And that's available to, it'll be CME, CNE, CEUs, SERPs, CPEs. It'll be the full diversity.
Opportunities to network for other people within different states or their same state, that way they know the resources a little better.
Can we insert in this all that we have been talking about, provide learning for everyone in the second bullet point? Because right now it says provide an in-person forum. Can we just add learning for everyone or learning at every level?
I think that we absolutely can. I think that that's really, really some great feedback that we should actually look at that particular bullet to inform this conversation around learning and inclusiveness from people at different skill levels, lactation care levels. That's I don't want to say level, but please, please blame it on my mind and not my heart, okay? All right. Okay. But I think that I actually think that this is some good work, and we're probably, unless you guys have something that is like burning, like, I've been wanting to say this thing and I want to get it out there. Unless it's that, then I think that we're ready to kind of go on to the next thing, unless you're feeling like, there's more here. I want to honor that, we haven't written this stuff down. We are all kind of just brainstorming together, and it's a little bit too much for us to try to write it. It's not like a theme, right? But we're going to take in what you've put down, pick it up, and kind of craft the language. The big things that I heard was diversity of voices from all places. I heard about healing and creating a space. Like, I don't know what that's going to look like, but I heard healing, and I heard inclusiveness of people in all spaces within the lactation arena to ensure that there's rich opportunities for learning and skill building and for networking and sharing. And also, we talked about the partnering for transformation horizontally and vertically within the field. Those are the big ideas that I heard. Was there something that you said that you felt like you heard or that you put out there that I've missed in this little summary?
You did great on the summary. I just wanted to add, if possible, another hopefully good takeaway of their importance of their work in the USBC field, so that they feel even better connected and want to give and do more on a national level, let alone at home.
Okay. That's good. We'll see how much we can massage this. I'm not going to promise that every single goal will be there. We'll try to collapse as much as we can, because what we don't want is this much goal to be our takeaway. You see how much goal is on this page? We don't want that much goal. The goal is to slim down. Everybody want to get slim thick for the summer, right?
Okay,
This is
all
not
right.
slim thick.
We're with you.
All right. Let's go on to the next slide then. All right. So we don't know the learning arcs. These are not the learning arcs. This is just some splat that we put at the page, and we can open up a new slide because these are smaller to think about. We can put down as many learning arcs as we kind of want, as we want to go on, given the themes that we talked about. Not the themes, I'm sorry, given the goals that we've talked about. We want to come up with like 3 learning arcs that would help us to make sure that we are soliciting and getting proposals that will get us to that place where we are doing some healing together, where people are partnering, where people are thinking about how they're learning and their value, depending, no matter where they kind of are in their spectrum of lactation support, right? And so the things that we already have out there on the page are or continuity of care, I think, is there. Building coalitions, building leadership, because we do need many voices united, but sometimes we need to rally the people, and that sometimes takes a leader. And last year, we really talked about building a leaderful movement. Policy and advocacy, health equity, and ways to collaborate are some rough and dirty thoughts that we put out there, but it's really, really an open field. The ideas that also came, that came more so now, was really thinking about health, and I'm going to move us away from I'm just going to move, because that's just not what USBC does in a strict way. So as we're talking about health, what I heard was looking at the systems that exist and how those systems support or don't support, attract or repel the people who we really would like to be able to have the health benefits of breastfeeding.
Mm-hmm. These are reminding me of Jeopardy, and I would definitely like to take continuity of care for 300.
Can we combine health equity and continuity of care?
Tell me how that works.
I'm sorry.
I said, tell us how that works.
Grace, you there? You have to tell them of your combination plan.
Right. When we continue to provide care for the mother and the baby, we cannot escape from addressing the health of the mother. Earlier, someone mentioned, I think it was Angela or Martha, you mentioned that the health of the mother is a big concern, and I agree. So can we insert into one of those tracks? We're supposed to only pick 3, right?
No. It's not that you're picking 3.
Oh.
These are just some starter ideas. You can put as many new ideas on the table as you like.
Oh, okay.
This is just like, so I shouldn't say, let's get 3. That was the wrong word. I ran out of space because USBC is right there. This is like, this is fodder. This is just some seed.
Okay. Got it.
We are brainstorming. This is brainstorming together for what are the tracks.
Hey, this is Dana. I agree with Grace. I think that if we have a systems track, then health equity and continuity of care would go under that, because we want to change the system to a wider net of continuity of care from perinatal, like from before birth through birth, after.
Mhm.
Not siloing mom and baby, but keeping the family together and looking at every aspect through the system.
Right.
I I feel like with us being the USBC that we definitely have to have some policy and advocacy in there tied
Mhm.
in. There's just some among us. I mean, everyone needs to be aware, but there are some among us who are either aspiring advocates or are deep in that work, and so they need to be fed. And the only time they really get to be fed is in, with us. So, and just because the USBC is what it is, just tying in some kind of policy and advocacy would be great.
I'm sorry, I'm
I was
taking notes. Go ahead.
I was really leaning into policy and advocacy too, but then I decided I was thinking instead about collaboration approaches because that is really what we at USBC do also with constellations, with learning communities, with the conference itself, with advocacy networking calls, with working together on our projects as we're doing, all of that. So to me, the collaboration, maybe it's not collaboration approaches, maybe it's collaboration, something like that, speaks really well because then from that space of getting many voices together, of working together across different organizations and coalitions at the state level, local or national level, then really you can touch any of these or many of these areas. I'm not going to say all, but like many, you could get at policy, you can get at different things. So for me, I'm just building on what I wrote in the chat. I vote for collaboration.
Mhm.
Alex Trebek.
All right.
Is it
Anybody
possible?
have? I'm building um some word merges.
Mm-hmm.
And that collaboration fits really nicely with Many Voices United, I think.
Mhm. Mhm.
It does. Is it possible to just leave the policy and advocacy, just, you know, throw a few things into some other ones so it doesn't seem like we're in policy and advocacy 101 or whatever. We're actually just learning about, the collaborations and we tie that in or continuity of care and we can tie that in. Kind of like that.
Well, I mean, actually, you can start each track with collaborative approaches because this is about many voices united. So, I mean, you might not want to, but on some level, it's all about collaboration, right? To get to any of these things.
True, true. Okay. Just to say, I'm enjoying the baby noises in the back. It's making me feel like I'm just really empowered by the work we're doing here and why we're
Mm.
doing it. So thank you for baby noises.
Yeah, I'm babysitting today.
Yay.
This is Carol. I've been thinking really hard about the health equity part. I know we have a lot of work to do and we have a long way to go to achieve our goal of equity. I would like to see that surrounding everything that we do, though the approach, it's kind of hard unless you're doing, again, a 101 on health equity, which we probably need to, but I feel like if it's not built into the other panels and presentations and discussions that we have, that
You could lose it.
I don't know. Yeah, and it's like in the design of how your goals are listed for USBC, you have health equity around the outer circle and surrounds everything that's done in the circle.
So I just put Smart T in the chat box, and Smart T is something I've been reading about. We all are familiar with SMART objectives, and Smart T objectives add inclusiveness and equity. And
Oh.
so I would be interested in thinking about how do we, within the proposals, ask people to not just be smart, but smarty in describing their work. I don't know if it might not work, but it's a thought.
Yeah, I think one of the things, Camille and Miriam, correct me if I'm wrong, but there is a chunk in the like presentation proposals of like how your
Yes.
how your presentation relates to health equity. So all of them have
Yes.
that bit, and that's part of what they're judged on. So that is so I'm not saying that takes away from a need to kind of speak to it as a larger track or goal, but we do have that component to like evaluate things, and folks know when they are submitting a proposal that that's an important piece.
Right.
Yeah, we're doing SMART-T without the acronym.
Yep.
But I love that.
But I think that it's a fair point that we can actually, because the track is not as short as a learning objective, right? I'm sorry, the track is not as short as the theme. It's not like Many Voices United and then little catchphrase. What we are thinking about is an overarching like two sentences that this is going to build down to like two sentences that describe this is what we're looking for on this track, and all of them can say that we're looking for something that also addresses health equity. Does that sound reasonable?
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Yes, definitely.
And I apologize because in retrospect, I appreciate that you all are probably thinking about it in these little bite-sized chunks because that's what I gave you. And so, but it is like the bite-sized chunk is the beginning of it, then with a couple of sentences behind it, so people can kind of say, oh, I think that my proposal fits into this one or that one, because they really wouldn't be able to pick with just a few words at the top. So I'm going to reach back to Carol because I mean you've been quiet and you've been thinking about it, and I want to know if that type of idea begins to resonate as a way to begin to address that.
Yeah, Nikia, the way you rephrased all that, I think it makes more sense to me. I was also misunderstanding what I was looking at on the slide. So
Yeah, that's my fault. I'm sorry about that, everyone.
yeah, Nikia. No, I'm kidding.
I know, right? You can beat me with a wet noodle on Thursday. So we're going to keep health equity as something that's going to be an overarching theme that lives in each of the tracks that we bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Check. And I also heard that policy and advocacy is a track that's important. And it's not necessarily about watering it down with what types of policy and advocacy, maybe because I did a meeting a while ago and we had we created the tracks around there were tracks, but then within each track there was this opportunity to do like a handyman, like a little toolbox, versus kind of big construction, versus like building a bridge like across a river, meaning that some of it was really really structural work, some of it was like little p procedures and some of it was like big P policies, where other stuff was like really big structural shifts and how people were achieving it. I think that some of the people on this call actually might have been engaged with that, but it kind of spoke to the level of depth that a particular conversation was going to have around those different themes. And so I think that leaving it loose gives us the opportunity to figure out if we get things at those different levels of depth, to be able to kind of inform or inspire the conversations that come to the meeting. I'm feeling a lot of silence here on the call, and I am wondering what needs to happen for you all to feel more energized and ready to continue to engage with me around this. Or are we complete?
I felt like I was saying too much, so that's why I was quiet. But I was with you. You know I'm with you, Nakia.
I am digesting. I'm taking all in and I'm reflecting.
Okay. I think that those are important and fair things to do. And it's so hard sometimes we're in this virtual space that you want to make sure that you're giving people this opportunity to do that. And so I'm going to be quiet and let you all think. I'm going to type down the few that I heard, and then and see what you all come up with in a minute or two.
Okay.
So can I ask, when you all hear leadership development or read it, what comes to mind for you?
That made me think of people wanting to step up to do more, or people feeling like, like the Latina Coalition of Arizona, where, it needs a push in some right directions, and to be a network able to vitalize and get going. Um, that's what I thought, just people having these ideas and needing some help to do that next step.
Leadership development, meaning the opportunity to grow and expand.
So this is Wednesday. Something that has just been kind of resonating with me as I listen to all of you. And I'm not sure exactly how this would fit in, but in talking about leadership and talking about transforming the landscape and everything like that, it keeps resonating with me. How are we bringing these diverse voices together? I know we have our coalitions who are, trying to increase their platform, but exactly how are we thinking outside of the box to give the mothers that we're talking about, how are we giving them a voice? How are we representing their voices in the things that we're doing at the coalition level, but also at the national level? I guess in transforming, that's what keeps coming to my mind is how are we thinking outside of the box to represent the mothers as a whole, and we talked about what the mom's needs are and things like that. And I'm not sure how exactly that would fit in, but that's just something that kept resonating with me is that outside of the box representation, what are we doing to reach the masses, so to speak?
I think that probably varies. I think that varies based on what family or population that you're actually working with. Is it one specific? Do you work with of different circumstances? I just think it varies where you are, where your work responsibility is.
So how would we thinking about some of the other and I'm here and I'm trying to encapsulate kind of what I heard about the system stuff that kind of exists, and how do we ensure that the voices of families are fully heard within the space of the systems that we are seeking to create to support them? How do we make sure that they're not drowning in it? And how do we also lift up voices of people who who want to be on a larger platform. I'm trying to figure out how to merge that, but I'm also trying to make sure that I understood that last part correctly.
Yes, I guess it wasn't a fully formed thought. I just had like certain things that just kept bouncing around in my head. Sorry, I've got a fussy baby with a ear infection, so I keep going back and forth between mute and unmute.
It's okay.
Yeah, so I guess kind of a merger of what you were saying. How are we representing the voices, the system? I think that would fit together. Like I said, it wasn't a fully formed thought, but it just kept kind of coming to my mind, so I wanted to throw it out there.
Okay. So I'm going to ask
Sorry, I'm muting really quick.
Okay. I'm going to it's 12:05 and we're a bit behind time. We have a lot of ideas out here, and I think that we're probably going to need some time as a staff team to kind of begin to pull it together. I heard some energy, 300, for continuity of care. I heard some advocacy around policy and advocacy. I'm going to give some thought. Health equity will be woven. We'll give some thought to what do systems and leadership, like kind of what is possible there, and around. But what we're more than anything we're going to do is also listen to everything that you talked about and go back to the goals that we kind of talked about and see what we can do to move an arc out from around that. The next step for us will be to be working on that latter part of this week, so that we can get something to the conference co-chairs, either at the very end of this week or at the beginning of next week, so that they can kind of take a look to see, did it accurately capture what we talked about? And if they feel that it does, I feel like I would like to be able to move forward just in the because we're going to go over the timeline in a little bit, and in respect of the timeline that we kind of really have to get the proposals and the culture in the awardee applications out the door. If they're feeling good with it, then I would like to be able to proceed. And if they're feeling like, we really want the committee to kind of weigh in, I would ask that you weigh in virtually. Like maybe we might have to kind of create a space for us to be able to talk a little bit and give us some timelines by maybe mid next week, where you all can take a look at it to see if it really feels like it's something that is okay in terms of something that you feel comfortable representing the work that's coming from this body.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there is no one who's okay. One is staff, so I can't really count that one. But I have Tamika saying that sounds good. If there's another that sounds good in the chat box, I'll take it and we will move forward. Okay, thank you, Toy. Thank you, Toy. All right, thank you, Toy and Tamika. We're going to go on to the next slide. I want to, before we even go there, though, let me just say thank you so very, 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 very much for putting all of your energy out here. This was high energy work. So thank you. And then you got introspective. That's hard. Thank you. All right, I'm going to go to the next slide. So this is what the objectives look like from last year. Don't worry about it. This is going to be an internal staff job. Once we all get clear and are feeling good about what the goals look like, the objectives will tie directly back to those goals, and somewhat connected also to those tracks. But this is the weedy part around, how many widgets do you have and is it smarty? And we're going to work on that part. Unless somebody feels like they would like to volunteer, because we're all about that also. Don't let me take your volunteer job away from you. I'm going to be quiet for 5 minutes while you think about it. We'll accept volunteers from the baby. Come off mute. Come on, come through. No, okay. All right. All right. I am going to turn it over to another team member to talk about our updates around award applications and proposals.
Yep, thank you, Nakia. So we wanted to give you guys a couple of updates because these are the next steps, and we do want to get these out as soon as possible. So we are going to continue with the 3 categories of awards for this year. We have Emerging Leader, Cultural Change Maker, and Tribal Trailblazer. There is a note on here under the Tribal Trailblazer because we are open to having a conversation to consider a name change. This is something that was brought up in candid conversation over the summer, and we want to have the space to have this conversation with the wider audience. So some of the ideas that we have are to ask the Identity Caucus at the conference, or to create an affinity space that's virtual meets online, to kind of go over this topic. And if anybody here today has any opinions, we're definitely open to hearing those in consideration with the name of this award, the Tribal Trailblazer. So I see Toy has a question on here. What does that mean exactly, Tribal Trailblazer? Camille, do you think you can speak a little bit more on that?
Sure. So the Tribal Trailblazer was created as a category specifically for Indigenous, Native American, Pacific Islander folks to apply, so that we are making a recognition and an award category specifically to Indigenous folks. So the name, all of our names, aside from Emerging Leader, Cultural Change Maker, they get alliterative, and so it was created with board members, some of whom are Indigenous themselves, and that was the name that was chosen. So I can't speak to the nuance of exactly, how the process, but because I wasn't part of it, but because I'm a white person, those of you who don't know me. So that's the why. So it was chosen in collaboration with Indigenous and Native folks. And so, but there has also just been question like, well, not so much what's the category, but just like the specifics of the name. And so when Miriam was lifting it, some folks had asked her, like, why are we using the phrase tribal versus instead of like Indigenous or Indigenous leader or some other phrase, because tribal for some people just doesn't resonate as well. And then, I had also asked the question, like, trailblazer, is trail the word? And, because to me, it could be Indigenous leader, instead of this alliterative thing. So that's the reason why we're not necessarily changing it, Toy, but we're open. We just wanted to make sure that this group knows that we are, we've had a question, and it wasn't an offense question. It was just a question, like, how is this, how did we get here? And wanting to make sure that this group particularly knows that this name might change. It might change this year, it might change next year, but that there is an openness, particularly if Indigenous folks feel that they would rather have a different name.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Good question. Thank you for asking.
So, Mill, you mentioned that you're going to ask the Identity Caucus group to create affinity space. So are we going to ask the concerning individuals to come out with an approval or suggestions to name this award? Are we going to bring it back to the Indigenous or tribal representative?
Yep, I think the idea here is just to open that conversation amongst previous awardees, right, who we have a space and I believe a grant. Nakia, you can validate that, but we have some grant monies to support conversations, so that can be just one of many topics that I'm sure would come up, just to say, how did you feel about this name? Do you all have suggestions? Is that something we should consider, changing? But I don't think it's not really for this group to decide here, unless someone has an opinion and thought that we could use as a thought starter.
Smiling at what I'm saying.
That's great.
What you smiling at?
We actually don't have any money to bring anybody together. So let me just back all the way up off of that. What we are saying is we are going to be reaching out to different cultural affinity to say we're going to offer up a virtual space for members of different groups to connect with one another, not a facilitated space or a USBC directed space in any way, just a virtual space where you may do what you will um, on your own. Not moderated, not anything, just a space for you to have private conversations where you get to touch base with people who are working in this field from the place where you are. And given that we would very much want to have a diverse field, we also want to do that healing, but we also recognize that there's healing that needs to happen internally, and it's sometimes just a way that you're not understood by others when you're understood by your own sisters and brothers, right?
Yep.
All right. All right. So is everybody kind of good with this part right here? This is just an update for you.
Yes.
Excuse me. Sorry. I'm kind of lost. Haven't we been doing the affinity space? Haven't we been doing that?
We had an affinity space at the last meeting that we had in Bethesda. And I do not believe that we have had an affinity space to kind of create an environment where people get to come together virtually between meetings. And that's the space that we want to get to.
Yeah.
Well, okay, because I know we also had it when we were in Atlanta as well.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't have to wait for a whole year to get with your sisters.
Exactly. And this note wasn't about the creation of the space. The note was about the Trailblazer name change possibility and where and when and how could that happen. Because again, as Nakia said, we have them in person once a year, but we were hoping to have a forum, and as we are this virtual platform and we have this backbone support, we can just open up a channel and see what happens. That's the idea.
Okay. Let me be clear. We are not providing any backbone support. There's
no
backbone.
But we are that convener backbone place, right? So we just open up the channel, not providing us any people or money.
Thank you. I just want to be clear. No people, no money, just a virtual platform. Talk amongst yourselves. That's what it is.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. And so just to continue with the update, the method and timeline for the award applications are going to be off of SurveyMonkey. We want those to go out ASAP, and the deadline for that would be February 2nd. And a quick update on the presentation proposals. This is going to be on SpeedShift.
I need you to get
and in the same way, we also want these to go out as soon as possible.
We have to go get Daddy,
February 2nd. And we will continue to work with this. The staff will, and the applications will be more aligned with the goals and objectives and learning arcs that we'll work with after this meeting. Camille, did you want to take over?
Sure. So just a clarification. So when we say ASAP, we don't mean tomorrow, we mean mid-December, because in our terms, that is ASAP. It's as soon as possible, because as you all heard and know, we're going to be taking all our conversation from today, working on it, finessing it, passing some bits of it back through the chairs, and then we have to tweak our call for presentation proposals to make sure that it aligns with all that work. And then we've got the communications that go out around it. So it's going to be, next week or week or two, but around the middle of the month. And then we've got the, we'll do a bunch of promotions. December is a busy time. So the reality is most of our proposals and most of our awards come the day before the deadline. So a lot of our communications about them are going to be based in January, but we want to still open as soon as possible so folks can get access to take a look at it if they're interested and able to beforehand. So just to clarify what ASAP means in our terms. And then so one thing that we wanted to also just put it's really not a brainstorming session right now. This is merely intended as a seed planting. Then one thing that's going to happen, as I mentioned very early on, we're going to put out a survey monkey to all of you to get our next January meeting time and date, because as I mentioned, we're not going to be able to have the very first Tuesday of the month happen because we're going to be traveling as a staff team. So we're going to put that out, and part of what we'll ask for in that survey is for you all to be thinking about some plenary speakers. So maybe a person comes to mind, just as we've been talking about the goals and the theme. Maybe people come to mind, maybe topics have come to mind, maybe dignitaries, maybe some folks in Arizona-based dignitaries, maybe equity experts come to mind. We're really kind of planting these seeds here, with voices so that you can think on them, and then you'll get this virtual survey monkey thing, and you can put in some thoughts there. And really, please be generous with yourself about sharing your ideas. I mean, one thing that we really enjoyed is highlighting local efforts. So Arizona folks, Southwest folks, really be thinking about what might be of interest there. If we're thinking, you don't have to have a specific name, but maybe you do. Maybe you have a topic area. Again, maybe folks might have a theme related conversation, plenary talk that comes to mind, or maybe it is a specific person. So just wanted to put this out here as a seed planting for our next virtual conversation. Would anyone like to add to that, Nakia or Miriam? Or does anyone have questions?
You did great.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? All right, thank you. If you think of one, you let us know. Next slide, please.
And we gotta go get your dad.
So we'll just do a quick talk through the planning calendar. You've seen this slide before, so we've done a bunch of these things already. We've had our setting of our theme. We got our standing meeting. We're going to do the save the date pretty soon. We've got the goal. We're working, with the goals, the objectives, and arcs we talked about today. Our December to-dos, as we mentioned, the presentation proposals, award applications, and our poll. So thank you, Angela is going to give some thought about local Arizona plenary possibility. I appreciate that very much. So all of you will stay tuned for the poll. So that's going to be coming up soon. Next slide, please. And this is just a big broad strokes. It looks pretty. Thank you, Nakia. Just kind of what we're going to be doing. So January, again, it'll be about inviting the keynotes, setting up the plenaries, thinking about that. We'll be inviting everybody here to be really promoting the fact that we are soliciting for awardees and proposals. So we'll ask all of you to please reach out to your networks. Not saying or making any promises, but just like, hey, did you all know this is open, kind of thing like that. We wouldn't want anyone to think that because you're on the committee, you've got, leverage. It's really just sharing wide and loudly. And then we'll be choosing folks who will nominate themselves to be part of one of the two committees for reviewing the applications that we receive. So that'll kick us over into the February meeting. So that's kind of what's coming up for January. And again, that date and time is to be determined. Next slide, please. So again, you'll see the poll coming in. Please keep watch on your email. And we wanted to take a little opportunity to wish everyone happy holidays. This is a busy season and it's short, and wish you a happy new year as well, because we're not going to be speaking voice to voice until the new year. Next slide, please. I think that's pretty much it. Thank you. Thank you, because really, honestly, this group is amazing, dynamic, wise, courageous, and compassionate. And I appreciate all of you taking the time from your day and your week to be here and sharing and talking together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh, and Nakia thanks us for these 6 minutes. Nakia, thank you so much. Grace, Titina, Tiana, thank you all, our chairs, and thank you for everyone who participated today. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye, babies.
Talk to y'all. Well, I'm talking to you before then, but so next year, that sounds like a long time.
I know, and it's not. I can't believe it.
Yeah. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. You too. Bye.